the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Talk about the running back rotation in your Georgia days. Is that something that came up between y'all? Did y'all ever talk about it?
Not really. I mean, it was coach defined it. You know what I'm saying? It would be like, Todd went in first and we would rotate series. You know what I mean? And there would be times where there were certain packages where, like we knew we would do like a stampede, which is like 4 plays back to back. And it's like, Keith, you have the P, and there might be some screen, so there were some things like that built into it. But for the most part, it was like, it's your series. You go, you get tired, you tap out. And once you tap out, you lose the series unless someone taps out. So you didn't really want to tap out,
Interesting. So that's different because that's obviously not like, I mean, you just saw that at quarterback this week with Anthony Richardson with the Colts tapping out. We've never seen a quarterback tap out after a big play. And now I think
it's different at running back because the whole offense is not as and when you have other guys behind you that it's like, hey, if I know, they're just as capable. So like if you're fresh, come do your thing. So
is it harder to know, like, because if you're going in after Todd or you, like, depending on what the injuries report looks like that week, I mean, is it hard for you to stay not fresh, but like to get in a good rhythm? Because I don't know how much of running back is just rhythm based. From the outside, I would assume there's a lot of rhythm to it, but did that make it more complicated for you?
Absolutely. I definitely feel like you missed that piece of it to where, you get into that flow. I mean, again, I think if people that play the position would understand, it's probably the same at other positions or in other crafts in general. Like there are points and times where you're just in it. You know what I mean? That state. And I think if you disrupt it, you disrupt it. And it's harder to get to that point when you're going in and out, which is why we would do the series. It's like, you have the series. You know what I mean? This is your series. And then, again, if you tap out, you kind of give it up. But it definitely was more difficult to get into that rhythm when you were, subbing it out.
What do you think goes into keeping a running back just like, what's the best way of just keeping a running back as healthy and as active and as comfortable throughout the course of the season? What did you find, and what have you seen from that position over the years, and how it's changed a little bit? What would your advice be in that
I would say, really 2 main things and then potentially a third, but off season, 1, getting your body prepared. It's a long season. That's why we go through the strength and training, and it's why it's as regimented and difficult as it is. So, making sure you're prepared and obviously maintaining some of that throughout the season so that your body is not relapsing in terms of the strength and some of those things that you're working on. And the second piece, and our coaches did a good job of this, was making sure you're doing your recovery. So, I mean, we were cold tub, hot tub after practice. Before practice, I would go in and get my treatment. You would get your stretching. You would, kind of do some prehab to try to prevent any things that were, potential injuries that would come from just overuse. So I think those 2 things are important. And then, the third piece that we did earlier on is, once we got into the depth of the season, practice was more about the mental side of it. So, you were going to play X amount of snaps, and particularly at running back position, because we were getting hurt. Like, we may only do the scout team period. They don't do this anymore in Georgia. Now Georgia's good on good, but like back then it was like, if you're one of the guys and like, we know what you can do. You know what I mean? When it was scout period, you were kind of doing the game plan, stuff like that. You were not doing the good on good practices and getting beat up during the week. So I think that helped as well.
Final 2 quick ones here for you, Keith. This is kind of a 2-parter though, because one of the things I see, like, I know the game pretty well, but there's still things I miss where it's like, it's so hard to know whose assignment is what in pass protection. Like, even when you're looking at all 22 or anything else.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.